So week 21, we got a lot of great information to cover today. Pursuit of happiness. And we all want to be happy. I think it's one of the underlying motivating factors in human life is we're all seeking happiness in some form or fashion. So today we're going to explore happiness from the perspective of somebody who has, done an interesting movie on the pursuit of happiness. Of course, Stone's going to get us up and active today. He's got some special exercises for us. And today we're going to talk about salt, all about salt. I think salt got a really bad rap, so we're going to kind of cut through some of the red tape and put some of the myths about salt to rest. And we're then going to close out with 10 and a half ways to go green and grow green. So you've all met Hydroponic Harriet, our little tower we have here. We're going to explore some other ways that we can go greener and clean up our environment and our personal environment inside of our bodies as well. So our quote for today is, "You got a dream? Well, you got to protect it." So Will Smith, one of my favorite actors, said that in the movie Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith has been one of my favorite actors for a very long time. I mean, from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the Men in Black, to the Pursuit of Happiness movie, which if you haven't seen, I mean, it's just a powerful movie. Go back and watch it again. And this, to be honest with you, this video wasn't originally part of the PEP lesson plan, but we constantly immerse ourselves in motivational stuff, and we're always watching videos and seeking out new things. And when Leah came across this, she said, "You got to watch this right now." And I thought it just summed up so many of the points that we've hit on in PEP. I mean, he started out talking about value proposition, who he really was. He discovered his dreams, what he wanted to be. He talks about focus. He talks about overcoming the fear of failure. A couple of the analogies in there that I love was the one brick at a time. You don't think about building a wall, just taking one step. If you take that one step a day, sooner or later you're going to be at your destination, or the wall is going to be built. So that was powerful to me. And then another thing that really resonated with me was his treadmill analogy. I've said that too. I will, to the nth degree, I will go to every extreme I can to follow through, to persist, to finish. And we really have to, because I think so many people, they stop digging when they're 3 inches away from the goal. They'll dig, they'll think they're going the right direction, and they are, and then they just stop so short. So his persistence, you're getting off the treadmill first, or I'm gonna die on the treadmill. That's the only way you're gonna beat me. So that's a great attitude to have. I'm not saying everybody needs to go kill themselves on a treadmill, but you ask yourself in life, how are you working? What's your work ethic? How do you persist? And then he talked about overcoming the fact that people are going to tell you that you can't do that it can't be done. Well, he said, and I've had the same exact mindset, when I make up my mind I'm going to do something, it's done already in my mind. I just got to wait to show the world until it materializes. And really, if there's one thing I pride myself on, Leah, what is that?
Always doing what you say you're going to do.
Right. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll be here. I don't care if none of you guys show up. I'm going to be standing up here and I'm going to do my program, unless I'm in the hospital or unless I die on a treadmill somewhere. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I thought that it just summed up nicely. Do you guys have any comments or thoughts, or what resonated with you on the movie? Someone, I saw you taking a lot of notes there. What were some of your highlights that you got out of?
Well, I think it all starts with the conception in your mind. And then you let that thing, like a recipe. You let it cook a little, like you're cooking something, you let it cook a little bit in your mind, and all of a sudden then you start saying, hey, I can believe it. Yeah. And then, so you have the conception, conceive, and hey, I can believe it. And then all of a sudden you start working towards, you take action, and now you're achieving it.
Right. Anybody else have any thoughts on?
I like when you talk about the talent versus skill.
Yeah.
Because you think you can't do something, even if you don't have the talent, trying and working toward it.
Right.
Yeah. It's possible.
Yep.
Just gotta work at it.
The skill will come with practice. It's taking that first step, and like Stolen said, it's getting the belief in your mind that you can do it. Because you quoted Confucius in there, and that was a big Henry Ford used that quote a lot too. Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way you're right. The minute you make up your mind you can't do it, it ceases those actions that you may have taken to get you to that point of accomplishment. if you make up your mind, I can do that, then it sets in motion that series of actions that ultimately brings that to fruition. So glad I could share that video with you guys, and now I want to turn it over to Stolman and let him get us up and active with a little easy anytime exercise.
All right, thank you.
Stolman.
Okay, so the persistence that we got out of that, about our exercise. So if we take the persistence word and we shrink it down, let's shrink down time to make it so it's affordable on a daily basis. So if we take it and chunk it to maybe 10-minute blocks, 3 times maybe in a day if it works, 3 10-minute sections, you got 30 minutes. Okay, so let's use the analogy. We get up in the morning, we have a pendulum, pendulum swings one way or the other way, okay? We want to have the feeling of accomplishment all day long. We did things on our to-do list, if we write those down, versus the regret. So, we sit up in our chairs, we all get up early in the morning, we're lying in bed, we're saying, hey, I want to have a feeling of accomplishment today, so I can either do my breathing exercises while I'm in bed, or I can go out in my living room, turn on the news, catch the weather, catch the traffic report, and I can do my breathing and my stomach vacuums at the same time, and I'm multitasking myself. Time management. So let's say, okay, I'm going to allocate 10 minutes to do this. That's attainable type of thing you could do. Feels good, doesn't take too much time, I'm doing a couple things at the same time. You could even possibly have something cooking or something, microwaving, cooking some, heating up some tea or coffee. So I got 3 things going on. All right, so we're going to start out with, if I do my breathing exercises, I inhale for 7 seconds, I hold for 28 seconds, and I exhale for 14 seconds. Now I'm going to get the oxygen flowing, the blood circulating. I'm going to get the energy in my mind, and I'm going to be motivated to do more things in the morning. And I'm still staying with that 10-minute persistent chunk of time. So we're going to inhale for 7 seconds, we're going to hold for 28, and we're going to exhale for 14. Ready? Sitting up straight, feet flat. Go. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Relax. All right. So I've just taken 2 minutes to do that. And what else have I done? I've all of a sudden got the oxygen going, and I feel my muscles, my lungs expand. So I've gotten some benefits out of that, which is what I want, benefits. I'm stacking my accomplishments this morning. All right, so now I'm going to do something for my stomach, my abdominal. I'm going to do the stomach vacuum. So we're going to take a deep breath in, sit up straight, exhale. All right, suck our belly button to our spine. 1, 15 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Relax. All right, so now we're maybe up to about 3 minutes. Okay, so maybe we only have a couple more minutes. We can sit on the floor, do some stretches that we talked about. We talked about the wrist, the neck rolls. So we get our 10 minutes in. All right, so that's 1 for the day. All right, so now we go to work. We're feeling good, we got the feeling of accomplishment. I did a few things in the morning at the house for me, my me time, and now what I've done is I'm going to work. All right, so I doodle in my work, and now I want to take a break. All right, and I remember him saying the easy anytime exercises I can do right in my workstation. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is doing some type of desk push-ups that you can do right at your workstation. All right, so we know what we need to possibly do if we have sensitive areas on our body. If our necks are sensitive, our shoulders, our elbows are sensitive, we know we need to do some type of warm-ups, okay? Whether we do wrist curls or whether we roll our arms, okay? So we're going through this and we're thinking, okay, we got maybe 10 minutes to do this, all right? Maybe only 5. All right, so I have a desk in my office. Maybe a little, you may want that edge or this edge, just depends, okay? So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you a beginner, I'm going to show you intermediate, and I'm going to show you an advanced type of style. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands. Now if you have sensitive shoulders, wrists, or elbows, you're going to be cautious of this. Alright? What I'm going to do for the beginners is I'm going to put my hands here. I'm going to put one leg forward and one leg back. So this gives me a little bit of security because I'm not sure of how I'm going to feel when I do this. And I'm going to, my speed is going to be 4 seconds down to the desk and then 4 seconds up. Okay? So I'm going to inhale through my nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Touch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, the foot in the front is giving me some confidence and stability as a beginner to be able to pace myself. So I'm bending this leg and there's a little bit there, but I'm working my shoulders, my chest, and my triceps. Okay? All right, so that's pretty easy. I can do those. How many should I do? Well, once again, I would stay anywhere from 15 to 20 reps with that cadence. Now, let's go through the point on this. My shoulders are tender, or my elbows are tender, or my wrists are tender. Okay, well maybe you can only go to halfway because of your strength or because of some tenderness. So you only go halfway. So that's the beginner phase. Okay, the advanced phase is you're going to bring both your feet back, and you can either put them together or you can put them apart, whichever's comfortable for the individual. And I'm going to bend and lower 4 seconds down, 4 seconds up. All right, so what I'm trying to do is keep this whole thing on a straight line and pivot at my ankles, or I may have to come up on my toes. Okay, but we don't want this, we don't want the butt up. Okay, so we're looking for our technique there. All right, the advanced is I can just put one foot on the floor. So now I'm going to balance. I'm going to add a little bit more of balancing in. Okay, so that's your advance. Now, next one after that one is you can move your hand positions. Depending, you can bring your hands in closer and put your fingers like a triangle and start out with the basics this way, which is going to isolate your triceps a little bit more. Then you can progress to this way, and then you can progress to this way in the advanced. And what you may have to do is decrease your range. What does that mean, Stillman? Okay, if you're going this way, you may not be able to go all the way down. You may only be able to go so far, and then you come all the way back up. So you take small little incremental steps to success to build success within you, to build your confidence. So why? You feel better about yourself, because it's about investing in yourself. We've talked about the pursuit of happiness. One of the things I believe is it starts with investing in yourself. Each one of you is your own time. Because then you can turn around and give it to your family members or your coworkers. Before I come in to work with my clients on a daily basis, I have to do something for me. Whether it's my breathing, whether it's my stomach vacuums, whether it's my stretching in the morning, whether it's I riding my bike, or whether it's my walk and what I read. Then I can go to work and go through the rest of my day in the pursuit of happiness of my day, and I feel I've accomplished something. And that's what, when he's talking about the pursuit of happiness, that's what pursuit of happiness would be to me on a daily basis. Do I get my me time and do what I want to do? All right? So there's your 30 minutes in a day. And you can repeat that in the middle of the afternoon also, or flip side, you can buddy up and come in the facility and walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. So you get a little cardio, you get a little strength training here, and you get your things you do in your morning at your house. 3 different environments, atmospheres also. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Nolan. Excellent. I do those desk push-ups in the morning. I have a knee wall in the loft of our house. It's a perfect height. So I'll do, like Stillman is showing, cross my leg behind. I'll do a wide grip one. I'll do a close grip one. It's a great workout, and it's super fast too. And Stillman's so right. In the morning when I wake up, my goal is to set the tone for my day and to take a little bit of me time before I check the first email, before I get into my voicemail, before I even worry about what's going to happen that day. I take a little bit of me time, and it just sets the tone so much better for the rest of the day, and it starts you off with a feeling of accomplishment. Those days when I am hurried in the morning or I have something that derails me, I can tell the difference through the rest of my day. I just don't have that same feeling. Salt's fault. salt's got a bad rap health-wise. Anybody know why? Anybody know a problem, a big problem associated with salt?
High blood pressure.
High blood pressure. Does anybody know why salt causes high blood pressure?
Makes you retain water, but that can be a good thing if you're.
Doesn't it keep the veins from being able to constrict?
Maybe. Why?
I can't stretch.
Yeah, it's a common, widespread, I'm gonna call it a rumor for a second, that salt is the cause. It's salt's fault, it's the cause of the high blood pressure, but rarely do any people understand the mechanics. Why? Gretchen, you hit on it makes you retain water, and yes it does, but one of the leading causes of high blood pressure is dehydration. So when your body becomes dehydrated, it goes into a storage mode in which it constricts the capillaries first and the veins and arteries to try to stop fluid loss from the body. So that will elevate your blood pressure. A lot of my clients, that when they go into a fast, if they do a water fast, even for 24 or 36 hours, one of the questions I ask them is, are you on blood pressure medication? Because expect a dramatic drop in your blood pressure. You might want to talk to your doctor about weaning off, even cutting the dosage in half during the fast period, because you're going to superhydrate your body. So some clients are like, well, I don't want to quit taking my medicine. I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to show you a natural way to lower your blood pressure that you're taking medicine to unnaturally lower your blood pressure. So anyway, hydration is a factor there, absolutely. And you're right about the arteries, and we're going to explain why a little bit here. Now let's talk about some of the essentials that salt is beneficial for in the body. We've talked a lot about water and mineral-rich water and how that conducts electricity. In this program, we talked about how the brain communicates with all the organs and tissues and cells through electrical signals through the nerves, and how it takes those minerals and those salts to conduct that electricity. So if we deprive our bodies of that salt, then we're going to start misfiring. We're going to start having problems in the body. Also, our body needs that sodium and chloride to produce certain chemicals in the body, like our stomach is hydrochloric acid. Well, where does the chloric part of the HCl come from? It's a component of salt. Also, it's one of the best known natural astringents and antibiotics. So if you went to the doctor and had some dental work done, if you pulled a tooth or something along that nature, he might tell you to go home and gargle what?
Salt water.
Warm salt water. When I'm surfing, if I've got a cut or a nick on my leg, if I go out in the ocean, that thing will scab up and heal like 3 or 4 times faster when you introduce it into that saline environment. The fault of salt is really not in salt itself, it's in the production of salt. Much like the foods we eat, it's the processing that our foods go through. Now, salt is mined on a massive scale in this country. It's strip mined, and it goes through a very basic refinement process before it hits that box or that salt shaker on our table. Now, the problem is when you strip mine salt like that, a lot of other ores and minerals and other components end up in the salt. So if you were to actually look at iodized table salt, standard table salt, under a microscope, it actually looks like shards of glass and pieces of metal, like little saw blades, jagged things that are in this salt. So, you ever heard the term, I earned my salt today? Anybody ever heard that? It's an old term. My grandparents and even my aunt and uncle use it from time to time now. I said, Mike, have you heard that? I earned my salt today?
Comes from the Romans.
Exactly. Why? Do you know?
The salt was a necessary ingredient for the soldiers, and they would get their salt so that they could continue on the march.
Absolutely. Before refrigeration and ice and preservatives and all the junk we put in our food today, they used to preserve a lot of food with salt. And in fact, they would pay wages, or even slave labor, they would get salt as part of their payment, like Mike said. Now, back in the day, though, they treated salt like we treat gold. There was different grades of salt. There was literally a 24 karat salt and on down the line, and the lowest grade had the most impurities in it. So there's a refinement process they went through. They would filter it through multiple cheesecloths. They would evaporate out the water on these stones, and they had the highest, purest grade of salt. For about 10 years now, I've been using a salt from a company called the Whole Food Pharmacy, and that's pharmacy with the F-A-R-M-A-C-Y. If you go on my website, seandon.com, click on the supplements, go to the second page, you'll see that salt on there. It comes in like a 1 pound bag, and a pound bag of that will last me probably 2 years. This salt is so fine, it's like a dust. It's so light, so fine. There's another great salt that I use as well that you can get locally here at Love's or Access to Organics. It's called a Himalayan salt. It's a pink salt crystal. These crystals are a little bit larger, but they're very, very pure, and they contain 86 different essential minerals as well. I brought one in one time, and we showed that salt shakers display. I did an experiment one time. What I did was I took 2 glasses of water, and I polished the glass with a cloth first so that there was nothing on the glass, not even a fingerprint. And then I filled both glasses up with pure distilled water. And then I got just some regular Morton's table salt, poured it in one of the glasses, stirred it up, let it dissolve, and then I took some of my 24 karat salt from the Whole Food Pharmacy, put the same amount of that salt in the other glass, stirred it up, let it dissolve, put them both in a sunny windowsill, and let them sit for about 3 or 4 weeks, and the water just evaporated. When all the water was gone, the Whole Food Pharmacy glass, I had the same exact powder in the bottom. I could have dumped it out and reused it and never even known. And the glass was just as squeaky clean and polished as the day that I put the salt and the water in it. The other glass, on the other hand, evaporated, left me a bunch of hardened crystals at the bottom that I had to try to scrape off the bottom of the glass, and the entire glass had a residue or a film on it. And I took my fingernail and ran it down and scraped some of it off, and then I took a knife blade and scraped the rest off. It's all those impurities in the salt, because the pure salt, when that water evaporates, it's just going to go right to the bottom and settle out. All the other junk and impurities that were in there got stuck. So let's talk about how salt actually affects your blood vessels and your physiology. How does it give you this high blood pressure? What happens is all those impurities, all those little salt, all those little quartz crystals, all the other little impurities in there, they absorb into your blood along with the salt, and they tumble all through your blood vessels. Now, how wide is a capillary? Does anybody know? Capillaries are our smallest units of plumbing in our body. 60,000 miles of these can circle the earth over twice. So, Anthony, you know how wide a capillary is? You want to take a guess?
0.14 cm, I can't remember. I learned it in class, but I can't remember the actual number.
It's actually a pretty simple measure. It is 1 red blood vessel wide. Red blood vessels line up single file to go through our capillaries. That facilitates the oxygen exchange through the cell. If they were all clumping and going through there together, it wouldn't be as efficient to transfer that oxygen and nutrients. So capillaries are extremely, extremely tiny. Now what happens is if you're ramming impurities through there, it's putting little bitty nicks on the inside of your blood vessel. Little bitty shards, cutting it here and there. And the body has a road crew inside of it. So out here in the road, we get a pothole, the Florida Highway Patrol goes out and they put down a sticky patch, a tarmac, right? They put on a little pothole, fill it up with some asphalt, and you got a sticky patch there until it dries. Well, what happens in our body is our body heals those little nicks inside of our blood vessels by throwing a manufactured cholesterol patch on there. Our body creates cholesterol, slaps it on there to patch it, to insulate it, to keep it from getting, from bleeding out or from, becoming infected. Now, what happens is, normally, we would go through a healing process there. It would scab up internally, it would heal, and it would go on its way. The problem is we have a bunch of other junk that we're putting in our bodies, cholesterol from other sources, animal products, dairy products, processed foods. A lot of junk is going through there, and it's stepping on that hot patch, and it can't move. So what was just supposed to be a little quick patch to let the body heal, now it's got stuff adhering to it. And then that blood vessel, that capillary, starts to shrink down, and guess what happens? Those red blood cells can no longer go through single file. So what happens? The body is like, hey, we got a little blockage down here in the leg or the big toe, so it tells the mind, which tells the heart, the pump station, to crank up the volume. And it tries to force the blood through all these blocked blood vessels. So you've got a higher production, your heart's having to work harder to force blood through these vessels that are nicked, that have all these little hot patches on there. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
The logic there? Now, you know, your point about hydration was very, very valid. Now, salt, one of the things it does is it helps us retain water. And as we've discussed in the program, our bodies are 70% water, right? So retaining water is not necessarily a bad thing. You just want to make sure that you're retaining, you know, toxin-free water, and that your, you know, body is able to eliminate those toxins, so that all your channels like your kidney and your livers and your colon aren't impacted with waste that's going to prohibit you from eliminating properly. So when it comes to salt, if you were to cut every single bit of salt out of your diet, which would be extremely hard, even if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables, they have minerals and salts in them. The tower garden that we have grown, we put a mineral tonic in there that has, I think, 84 or 86 essential minerals in there, and salt as well. So it's a central part of life. You can't just cut it out. You need to understand, you know, the logic behind why it causes a problem. So does anybody have any thoughts or questions on that point?
What about the raging out sea salt? Is that any better or worse?
Sea salt would be better than your typical iodized table salt. The problem with sea salt is it comes from where?
See,
And unfortunately, what is going into the sea these
a lot
days?
of pollutants.
A lot of pollutants. So the Himalayan sea salt that I use, the name tells you where it comes from, and it's probably one of the least polluted places in the world right now. That in the middle of the South Pacific. It's pretty far removed. It's in kind of its own atmosphere because it's elevated so high. So unfortunately, we have to go to those ends of the world and those extremes to get something that's highly unpolluted these days. Any other
That
thoughts?
Himalayan salt, it's really not very expensive at all.
No.
You can get a big, I mean, obviously it's not as much, it's gonna be more than going and getting your iodine salt, but for $5, $6, you can get a large container of
Is it
that.
red
And
though?
it'll last you a long
Does it
time.
have to be red?
It doesn't have to be pink, but the pure Himalayan salt you're going to get is going to have a pinkish hue to it. All right, moving into our Go Green component today. You know, imagine, I want you guys to think just for a second, our health is a product of what? Our environment around us, right? I was at a Tony Robbins seminar back in 2000, and I stayed for an extra day. I paid extra to go to his health component there. And the one thing that really resonated and stuck with me more than anything is he started talking about the bubonic plague, this plague that wiped out over a third of the population of Europe back in the mid-1300s. And he started talking about, you know, the whole bubonic plague and how horrible the death was, and how people were just terrified and scared to death. But the interesting thing was it was all concentrated in the cities, so the outlying areas, all the, you know, people that were farmers that lived, you know, away from the city, weren't being as affected as much. So they started, you know, the great thinkers and the scientists at the time were trying to figure out where this disease was coming from. You know, it was before they had a concept of, you know, bacteria and disease transmission and all these things. But they did know one thing. They knew that wherever there were rats, there was disease. And rats brought with them insects. So they started to make that connection, like, oh wow, okay, I got an insect bite, and I got sick. Stillman got one, he got sick 2 days later, and the rats brought the insects. So all of a sudden there's this mass, like they were trying to get rid of all of the rats, and they were just fighting a losing battle. Because back in the mid-1300s, it was a common practice for your window was your trash can. You know, they didn't have plumbing back then, so sewage pots went right out the window, waste, garbage went right out the window into the gutters and into the sewers and the streets. And a lot of the cities during that time they were living in squalor. So Tony Robbins drew an interesting conclusion and came full circle, and he goes, was it the rats that brought the disease, or was it the environment that the people in those cities had created that made it very hospitable for the rats to come? And then the rats may not even have the disease, but the insects also came, you know, because of the trash and everything. And that is what started transmitting this disease. The bubonic plague, quite interesting. He was talking about the buboes, or the lymph nodes, as they were called back in the day, the buboes. They would swell up, and the treatment for the bubonic plague was to cut these lymph nodes out and remove it. But what they didn't understand is the lymph nodes were swelling because the lymph nodes were actually doing their job, which was to produce those white blood cells. So they were ramping up all this production to fight this disease. So they were actually cutting out the organ that was doing its job to fight the disease. So besides the effect of the disease, people were just living like, they were dying these horrible deaths from these, brutal surgeries and everything. So the thing that resonated with me from Tony Robbins is we have to focus on our environment. We cannot stop disease. Every single breath we take, we are breathing in millions, if not billions, of bacteria and microbes. You're never going to stop that unless you want to live your life in a bubble and never eat anything or never interact with anything. Now, the difference between somebody that has an illness or somebody that has health is that the person that's healthy has an environment they've created in their body that's very non-hospitable to pathogens or intruders or bad guys. Somebody that has a disease has created an environment within their body that allows that disease to come in and flourish. So, we are absolutely, to use the bubonic plague as an example in Europe of the 1300s, we are a product of our environment, both internally and externally. Would we all agree to that?
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk about some ways that we can clean up our environment and grow green and make green. Number one is to change your thought to make a difference. I think the number one problem that really hamstrings us from progressing more rapidly as a society. Now granted, we're great when it comes to technologies and inventions, but if you look at our health statistics, they're not doing very well. So changing our thought, a lot of people have this mentality is like, oh, what does it matter if I do this? What can I really do to make a difference in this world? I'm just one person. Well, the problem is everybody has that mentality, so nobody really steps up and make a difference. But if we all have the mentality, like Stillman says, if you do one thing for yourself today, if you start off your day slightly differently, then one of the quotes that Mike has over there, a series of small, brilliant moves creates a successful movement. So it takes that one step, and changing your thought is that first step. Number two, grow green. And we've got the Tower Garden out there on display. It's an amazing, I've gardened planter boxes, 2.5 acre gardens that my grandparents had that I grew up with. Nothing is quite as easy and simple as technology has made that. So grow a little bit of food yourself. It's something exciting. Whether you got a tower garden or a little pot at home or a planter box or in your backyard, grow your own food. It's great to eat something that you watched grow, that you know where it comes from, you know it's safe, and there's a connection there, and it saves you money too. Number three, shop right and spend wisely. We have a lot more power than we think we do in the market. How we spend our shopping dollars determines what companies produce and what stores sell. So all this organic craze and all this health craze that's coming, stores are shifting 180 degrees, and they're acquiescing to the demands of the shopping dollars. So think about where you're spending your money and what you're spending it on, and that is essentially your vote. Number four, buy local. Keeping money here locally in our economy has a lot more of a chance of coming back to us in our pockets. So if you shop at a little store like Access to Organics or Love's and you're spending money there with a local owner, that local owner is a lot more likely to reinvest his money here with a company like DME or hire a trainer like Stillman or like me, and then in turn that money can then come back into the community by keeping us all employed and by being able to spend more money in the stores. If we go to a Walmart or somewhere to save a few bucks, where does that money go? It's likely to leave Volusia County or leave even the state of Florida or even our country now. China has invested heavily in the U.S., so we are literally siphoning a lot of money right out of our community. So buy local. Number five, pedal power. We've got several employees here, one of which William Smith was in the class for a while, and I'm totally enamored. These guys ride their bike to work every day, and they thoroughly enjoy doing it. Leah and I are huge bikers as well. We bike whenever we get a chance. In fact, when I lived in Richmond, Virginia, everything was within about a 5-mile radius of me. So after 5:30, my car never started. I took my bike everywhere. It's quite an oxymoron. I have this this mental picture of people sitting in traffic in a metropolitan, driving to the gym in gridlock to go sit on a stationary bike and watch TV. Like, really? All right. So 2 legs, 1 bike, and it also puts you a lot more in touch with nature. I mean, when you're cruising down the highway at 55 miles an hour with the windows rolled up, breathing recirculated, air, you don't get to enjoy nature as much. When you're on that bike, breathing the fresh air, it's just something to be said about that. Number 6, use the right light. Fluorescents or LEDs. We got great light technology now. Uses a lot less power. It's a lot more appealing to the eyes. Causes less stress. So this is something simple, easy, and inexpensive that you can implement in your house. Number 7, portion control. This is a big one. When we can limit our portion intake, then guess what? It also limits the amount of things that have to be produced. And when we are not gaining weight, guess what? We're wearing what? Smaller clothes, right? And when we're wearing smaller clothes, the companies have to produce less textiles, right? And when we weigh less, it burns less fuel to transport us when we're driving in cars or trains or flying in airplanes as well. So portion control, you know, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? Number 8, unplug it. Simple little task. We do this at home a lot, especially if you're going away for the weekend or out of town. Your devices are going to draw a little minuscule amount of power whether they're on or off when they're plugged in. So unplug things that you don't use. If you got a guest bedroom with a TV and an alarm clock or something like that, just unplug them until you have a cause to use that. So what? You got to take 5 seconds to reset the clock. It's going to save you power a little bit at a time. Number 8, plant life. You know, get your hands a little bit dirty. Root your feet in the soil. There's something about connecting with nature when you've got a garden going or when you're, you know, fostering life that creates a sense of, you know, contribution and a sense of fulfillment like Stillman was talking about. Even if it's one little pot on your desk or at home on your table. We've got an aloe plant that's gotten this big on our kitchen table. It's just something so great about seeing that life and breathing that fresh oxygen. Plants produce oxygen. Oxygen's our number 1 fuel. So take a step. Take the first step. You know, get out, do something positive today. Start off with the breathing exercises, the stomach vacuums. Right after you change your thought process, take an immediate step, do some action. Take a walk. I think it's so great that DME has the walking course, the footprints outside, and that you guys get, you know, a little bit of time throughout the day that you can go take a walk. Some of my greatest thoughts, some of my greatest ideas have been conceived while I was on a walk and talk. Pop a digital recorder in my pocket, or my cell phone has a digital recorder on it now. Go out and just walk and let your mind go. And if you get a good idea, put it down right then and there. Just get it on recording, because chances are if you wait, you might forget it. Number 10 and a half, focus on your health first. I think this is so vital. You know, we've talked about throughout this program the importance of being selfish, putting yourself first for a moment. You know, get your you time in the morning. And that goes against some people's beliefs, I understand. No, family first, church first, work first. Well, the alternative is if you put everything else first and you let yourself go, you have less energy to give, you have less help, you have less examples to share. If you concentrate and maximize yourself first, you're going to have much more to give to those people that you want to give to. And then they're not going to be saddled with the burden of having to take care of you when you break down and become sick. It really is all in our hands. I mean, it's up to us. One little step, one little movement at a time, like Mike says. So let's start a little movement here. You know, in this class, we've got a great group here. Let's spread the word. Let's motivate these other people that aren't here today. Let's motivate them to get back in here for the last 3 days. You know, 23 and 24, they're going to get a great recap of the program if they missed the last few weeks. So let's invite a few guests. Let's invite some of the people that aren't here to get back in and give them a little encouragement, a little Will Smith style motivation. Tell them to get back on that treadmill with you. Tangible takeaways. Got 2 of them for today. First thing I want you guys to do, it's a very small investment, spend $5 and go get some Himalayan salt. Either that or go on my website and buy the Whole Food Pharmacy raw salt, the 24-karat salt. And start implementing that. If you cook with salt, or if you use salt at all throughout the day, they even have little portable shakers that you can take with you. So if you use any salt, I want you to use that for at least 1 week. Better yet, try to use it for a month and then on. Number 2, let's begin by implementing at least 2 changes on the 10 and a half ways to go green and make green. The simplest one is to change that mindset. Maybe you look at some different lighting options in your house. You can change a light bulb, something very simple. Yes, Leah?
Yeah, you know, Bill, well, I did it as an experiment about 2 years ago. Somebody else recommended it to me, so I did. I went around the entire house and unplugged things that I don't use on a daily basis, and I had anywhere from $50 to $60 difference in that, you know, so that's good incentive.
Your hair iron draws a lot.
I swear to God, it was 50, and I mean, I tracked it because I knew I wanted to do it, and I was
You talking
like,
total
wow.
or any 1 month? Or over a period of how long?
I'm talking in a month.
A month?
Yes. So I must have a lot of things plugged in.
Yeah, hair iron.
I'm sorry, this was like dead heat of
Hair-
the summer where, you know, my bill would run like 170, 180, and my bill was dropping to 120, 130. That's with dead of summer with the air
Wow.
flying.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I have a lot of things to unplug.
In closing, guys, I'd like you to just put down your books for a second, uncross your legs, put your feet on the floor, close your eyes, take a couple of quick, deep breaths. Just take a moment to relax and de-stress. Take a moment to absorb the information you received today, because you've invested your most precious asset with us today, and that is your time. So I want you to thank yourself for investing in yourself. I want you to thank yourself for putting yourself first for the last hour. And thank your mind for opening up and receiving new information. And thank your body for every breath that you breathe, every heartbeat that pumped, and every eyelid that blinked. I want you to thank the workforce of trillions of cells in your body that are working nonstop round the clock to keep you alive. And I want you to thank the universe for all the potential it has to offer you. And most importantly, I want to thank you for being you. So open your eyes, please, guys. Knowledge is power. We've empowered you today. The gift is now yours. What you choose to do with it is up to you. Remember, insanity states that we're going to continue doing things the same way and expect the same results. But in PEP, we say don't be insane. And I truly believe that each one of you has the power and potential to change any aspect of your life with one split second of positive thought. Like Will Smith said, you make up your mind, it's done the minute you do it. And then that changes the actions that you're going to take on a daily basis that's going to deliver the results that you want in your life. So folks, when is the best time to change?
Now.
Now. And where's the best place to start?
Right here.
Right here. Let's finish out with some power of positive words. Let's do a quick affirmations. Does everybody have affirmations card with them? All right, you guys want to stand up? Let's stand up. Let's get a little energy going again. All right, let's start out on the wealth side first, please. On 3 after me. 1, 2, 3.
I am appreciative of time and every moment I am alive, especially now. I invest my time daily in my most valuable asset, me. I am grateful for everything in my life, whether it's a blessing or a challenge, tremendous or tiny. I am a motivated, self-starting doer who shuns procrastination and hesitation. I will use my experiences, whether good or bad, right or wrong, to evolve, learn, gain wisdom, and grow.
Flip over to the health side on 3. 1, 2, 3. I
May not be a doctor,
but I'm
earning a PhD in practicing health daily. I will underwrite my own assurance policy and do everything possible to maximize my life and protect my health. I will achieve wellness by creating balance in my life. I realize that my greatest wealth is not
my
my health.
health, and I strive to become wealthy every day. I am strong, beautiful, unique, energized, and passionate, and I'm getting healthier, happier, and more successful day by day. Turn to your neighbor and give them a high five and say, life is good.
Life is good.